him, I lean on him, and he wraps his arm around my shoulder, kissing my head. You need anything? No, just you. I sit with him, and neither of us talks at first. He shifts slightly and whispers in my ear. You know, you're just like her. Amazing. Suddenly, I realize why people whisper in hospitals. It's not because they don't want to face what's before them. It's to ease the mind of those around them, to lessen the pain. Facing him, I swipe the hair from his forehead and stare into his green eyes. I can feel a single tear drip down my cheek, and he wipes it away. Brushing my lips softly to his, I say, "Thank you," and hug him as tightly as I possibly can. Glancing up, I see Ben behind us, just staring. He gives me an odd look and then heads back to the room. After a while, I get up and take River's hand. Come on, come with me. I don't think I should, but if you need me, I'm right here. I smile at him and squeeze his hand. I know. When I walk back into the room, Serena wipes her tears away and stands. I'm going to grab some coffee. Do you want some? Ben and I both decline. When it's just him and me, the silence between us is deafening. He looks up from his chair beside Grace and says, It's my fault, you know. Looking at him, I feel anger, and then a wave of sympathy. I don't say anything, but I slide my chair around the bed to sit next to him. I take hold of Grace's hand, and it's so cold. I just sit there, not sure if my touch offers her any comfort, but it feels like the right thing to do. Ben stays silent for the longest time, and the tension between us seems to say it all. Doll, did you hear me? He asks with sorrow in his voice. I try to ease his pain. It's not your fault, Ben. Strokes aren't caused by other people. Placing his hand on Grace's arm, he looks over at me. Maybe not, but I can't help but think she wouldn't be here if I never came back. Everything's a mess. I'm just so sorry. You know, I never meant to hurt you. I've always loved you, even though my actions didn't always show it. I can't believe he's using this time and place to atone for his mistakes. He hesitates only for a moment before edging closer to me. He runs his finger over my wrist, where his bracelet had adorned my arm until yesterday. I start to move away, but something feels wrong. His eyes. They're filled with remorse, grief, maybe even loneliness. That wave of sympathy I felt earlier now shatters me. My eyes close in a subconscious effort to block out the bad memories. He clutches my hand tight to his face, and for a few heartbeats, I leave it that way, until a high-pitched sound fogs my senses and then quickly brings reality crashing down. The steady beeping of the heart monitor changes to one long tone. It's a constant high-pitched whine, no breaks in between. Just a long, flat, piercing sound that penetrates my ears. Doctors and nurses flood the room. Time seems to slow while at the same time the room comes alive. Backing away, I watch the clock tick as they desperately try to bring her back. But she's already gone. I know she is. The nurses rotate through compressions and give nervous glances to each other as the seconds pass. The doctor grabs the paddles from the cart. Clear, he yells, and I twitch at the same time Grace's body does. And then, just like that, all efforts stop as they let her go. But this can't be real. I'm here. She's here. But things will never be the same. I can't stop staring at her. Her lips are parted as if she's in mid-sentence, and I wait for her to say, Dahlia, honey, where's your umbrella? But she doesn't. Serena stands in the doorway, looking blankly at the bed. Ben rushes to his mother's side, and I hear him screaming, No, Mom, no! Serena goes over to him, and as I watch the two of them, I start to back away from the deafening sound. Its only purpose is to alert us to what we already know. Grace is gone. Serena pulls Ben to her, and everything in the room seems to cloud over. Sadness, anger, disbelief, guilt. They're all fighting for their place inside me, and I just want out of the skin. All of the sounds, voices, movements, and bodies around me form a big blur, and I feel like I'm suffocating. A sob rises in my throat, and I quickly turn to escape the room. I run down the long corridor, and it suddenly seems stark white. The automatic doors open, allowing me to flee out into the safety of the rain. Finally, I can breathe. The rain falls down harder and harder as I let the tears flow at the same pace, the tears I've been holding in so I could be the stronger one. I cry for time that won't stand still, for losses that should never have happened, for friendships broken, for mistakes made, for my pain, and most of all, I cry for grace, especially for grace. I try to understand why death takes a person from you, but not the relationship. It leaves you to carry on with only half of what you need to make things whole. Lifting my arms out to the side, I raise my head up toward the heavens and scream, "It's not fair! Do you hear me? It's just not fair!" My screams turn into a whimper before I finish, and my anger transforms into sorrow as the reality hits me that no matter how mad I am, or how sad I am, she's really gone. Water drips from my hair, absorbs into my clothes, and soaks me to the bone. Grief besieges me as I feel another piece of my soul chipped away, and I wonder how much more could possibly be left. How much can one person take until there is nothing left, to take or to give? "Doll!" Ben yells, and my name sounds desperate on his lips. "Dahlia!" River calls, and this time my name sounds calm, tranquil. I turn and see him standing in the doorway to the hospital entrance. "River!" I cover my mouth and shake my head. "I'm sorry," he calls out to me, and I run to him because I don't want to run any other way. I jump into his arms and hold him, and I know that what's left of my soul is for him. Chapter 26. Everybody's changing. Since Grace died, I just can't shake the feeling of being a little lost. She taught me so much. She was always there for me. I loved her so deeply. Tears threaten to spill again, and I start to worry that I might not be able to keep it together. River's lying beside me in bed, rubbing circles along my back and asking me what he can do for me. I know he's unsure of what to do or say, and so am I. All I want is not to have to think about her being gone, so I close my eyes and drift off again. When I wake up, I'm alone. It's dark, and I take a moment to compose myself before making my way into the bathroom. But once the coolness of the tiled floor hits my feet, I want it to numb me all over, to take away the grief and help me get through the next few days. And most of all, I want it to help me say goodbye to Grace. Dropping down onto the floor, I bow my head in my hands and let the tears fall yet again. Sitting there, I have to wonder how many tears a person can shed for loved ones lost before they're all dried up. Suddenly, the bright lights blind me, and I squint at him standing near the door. "Dahlia, are you okay?" I nod. "What are you doing?" He looks terrified. His hands reach under my arms, lifting me up. I can tell he's worried I'm sinking fast and won't be able to pull myself up, but as I stare into his eyes, I know I will be okay. I have to be. For him. On his lap now, I push the hair from his eyes. "Hey, I'm okay." He strokes my cheek. "You sure?" I nod and stand up. Reaching for his hand, I lead him back into the bedroom. "Can I show you something?" I ask as I open the curtains and see it's a beautiful sunny day. It finally stopped raining. He sits in the chair and just looks at me as if uncertain of how to answer. It's a look that makes me smile. "It has nothing to do with sex, if that's what you're thinking." Almost horrified, he tells me, "No, that's not what I'm thinking at all." I know, I'm just kidding, silly. I want to reassure him and let him know that even though I'm sad, I will be okay. My mother's hope chest is old and the creamy white paint is almost completely peeled off. Bending down to reach it, I open the lid and realize I haven't looked in here in a long time. Not since the break-in when I had to put everything back in that wasn't destroyed. I smile when I see my dolls, yearbooks, diplomas, and various mementos. As I'm digging through the contents, I feel his arms wrap around my waist, and he hugs me tightly. I clutch his arms and squeeze him back for a few seconds before moving to sift through the items for what I want to show him. When I find it, I have to hold it close to my heart first. Then I turn to hand it to him. Smiling, I point to the small blonde-haired girl in the photo, surrounded by 7 adults. For my 10th birthday, when my parents asked what I wanted, it was an easy choice. I wanted to meet Elton John. My mom started to say no, but my dad just beamed at me and told me of course he could arrange that. And he did. I look at River, and he's studying the picture as I move across it with my finger. That's Grammy, Auntie, Uncle Scott, Mom, Dad, Grace, and that is Sir Elton John himself. My dad even managed a private show before the concert where Elton John sang Believe and then Happy Birthday to me. River leans over and kisses my cheek. Wow, what an awesome birthday present, especially for a 10-year-old. I grin because I remember that day so vividly. He looks at me and in complete seriousness asks, why Elton John and not Hootie and the Blowfish or someone a 10-year-old might gush over? Because of Grace. Elton John was her favorite. Every day after school I stayed with her until my parents came home. We would sing Crocodile Rock and Benny and the Jets so many times Serena threatened to throw the CD away, and Ben would run and hide in his room. Neither of them liked Elton, but Grace and I loved him, and she always said meeting him was one of the best days of her life. I noticed he didn't even flinch this time at the sound of Ben's name. River takes the picture and walks it over to the dresser, standing it on display next to the one of my parents and me. How about we leave it out so we can both enjoy that memory? I nod, and as I start to close the chest, I notice the screwdriver that Ben had put in there so long ago, and know what I have to do to stay close with Grace. But the doorbell breaks me out of my thoughts as I take the screwdriver and close the chest. Before either of us moves to answer the door, Xander is yelling, Lover boy, Muse, we're coming in so you better be decent. I look over to River and I can see he's somewhat unsure about this, but the light in his eyes tells me he's happy. Just hearing Xander's smart-ass voice like everything is okay between them warms my heart. I hold out my hand and he grabs it. Leading the way, I squeeze it tightly and he does the same. Odd that I'm the one reassuring him right now. It makes me feel a little more whole. The front door is still open as we enter the foyer. Looking into the family room, I can see that Xander is standing near Belle, who has a shopping bag in one hand and is pointing with the other. She's giving orders to Garrett about where to set the tinfoil-covered pans of food. Nix is lugging in a cooler, and Xander is just standing there, his arms crossed, watching the scene unfold. We stand in the foyer and River clears his throat. Hey, what's going on? Xander's eyes shift to River. Talk to your sister. She insisted we bring dinner over. River looks at him. Thank you for that. He looks back. No problem. Actually, we all wanted to be here for the both of you. My eyes move to Belle, who looks a little apprehensive as she shrugs her shoulders, and I give her a warm smile, assuring her that our relationship is intact. Then I shift my gaze to Xander. Thank you, Xander. Anything for you, Muse, he says. River nods in appreciation to both his brother and sister. Everyone looks over at us, and it's quiet for a split second until Garrett says, Why is everyone acting like someone just died? Belle gives him a swift kick, and he turns pale and freezes. His eyes dart to mine. Shit. Oh my God, Dahlia, I'm so sorry. I wasn't thinking. I was only trying to lighten the mood. Nick smacks Garrett across the back of his head and says, Man, you always talk out of your ass. It's a good thing no one ever listens. We all laugh to break the tension, and the flurry of activity continues. I rest my head on River's shoulder as we watch them set up the meal they've brought over for us. He kisses my hair and then whispers to me, Are you okay with this? I nod and let go of his hand, turning to cup his cheek. Motioning with my eyes to Xander, I quietly urge, go talk to him. With a determined nod, he gives me a swift kiss and heads toward the kitchen. I watch him walk with the same gait I've seen 1,000 times, but it's thrilling each time. How lucky am I to have a caring, compassionate, and loving man like him in my life? He cautiously approaches Xander, who pats him on the shoulder, then motions him outside to the deck. Xander looks back before exiting the sliding glass door to give me a nod and a quick smile. Hey, Dahlia, you doing okay? Nix asks, and I have to blink because I never saw him approach me. I have to swallow repeatedly to hold back the tears. I wasn't expecting condolences from any of these guys. As I try to find the words to answer, Garrett is at my side, giving me a one-armed hug. I'm sorry for your loss, Dahlia. I take a deep breath and return his hug. Thank you, I manage and step back before turning to Nix and answering his question. I'm doing better than I expected. It's true, I am. I'm actually interacting with people rather than withdrawing into my own world like I have so many times before. A world where I can't focus on what people are saying to me, where my responses are nothing but mindless nods and my hugs are nothing but stiff embraces. I'm stronger than that now. Hey, you guys are suffocating her. Move away and let her breathe, Belle says. She takes my hand, pulling me to the sofa. Once we sit, she looks anywhere but at me. I want to be the first to say something, to reassure that I'm not upset at her in the least bit, but she beats me to it. I'm so sorry all this has happened. I don't even know what to say. Do you think of me differently? She asks, hesitating as she tucks her foot under her leg. Taking her hand, I cover it with mine. Belle, look at me. Her sad green eyes dart to mine, and I say, of course not. I don't blame you for anything that happened. I don't. So please don't think that. I know the situation is awkward, but let's not let it change things between us, okay? Nodding, she bites her lip. You know, I never even knew he was the same person. Let's just not discuss him, please. I'm sorry, Dahlia, she says. Then, just like her brother, she has the uncanny ability to change topics seamlessly. How are you doing? Much better than I ever thought I would. How about we see what's in all those trays in the kitchen? I'm hungry. She smiles at me and pulls me in for a big hug. I love you, Dahlia. I love you too, Belle. We head toward the kitchen and I look outside. Nix and Garrett have joined River and Xander, and they're all sitting around the table, talking calmly. I hope they can come to terms with River's decision because they're so important to him. It wasn't easy for him to quit, but I've come to believe it was the right thing for him to do. He loves to sing and play guitar, but he never wanted to be famous. He couldn't live his father's dream. He loves music, but it needs to be on his own terms. I'm staring out the window, watching as he runs his hands through his hair when I blurt out, Do you think everything happens for a reason? Belle grabs a stack of plates and sets them on the counter. Yeah, I hope so. I'd like to think it does anyway. Shoving the pans in the oven, I close the door and turn it on. My next words catch in my throat, but I push them out. What made you decide to give up the baby? She stares at me for a long moment before she answers. After everything that happened, I just knew the baby would be better off with 2 parents who loved it. There's another stretch of silence, but I think it's understood that we both accept the strange situation. We will be okay. Neither one of us will let anything harm our friendship. Opening the refrigerator, I grab 2 bottles of water and hand her one. Belle laughs and takes a sip. And come on, Dahlia, let's be real. Could you see me with a 5-year-old right now? I think you'd be surprised at what you could do. Snorting, she says, What? Isn't it normal that a 25-year-old lives with her mom? Belle, you can change that anytime you want. You're doing great. You're managing to juggle 2 jobs, and from what I hear, you're doing fantastic in both of them. Actually, I am moving. Xander found me an apartment in West Hollywood after I told him how much I really love my job with Tate. Xander is replacing me as soon as possible so I can start working full-time there. That's great, Belle. See, you can do whatever you want. The front door opens, and in a whirlwind, Aerie rushes to the kitchen. She throws her purse on the counter and hurries over to me. We hug each other for a long time. Dahlia, I'm so sorry, she says. When we break apart, I look into her saddened eyes as she looks at me with affection, and I manage to say, "I've missed you so much," before breaking down completely. Belle leaves us alone and joins everyone else on the back deck. I have so much to tell Ari, but now doesn't feel like the right time. She puts her arm around my shoulder and leads me through the front door where we sit on the steps and talk about Grace. About 15 minutes later, the door opens and Belle stands there with the portable phone in her hand. "Dahlia, it's Serena. She says she really needs to talk to you." Handing it to me, she whispers, "I'm going to go get dinner ready." I nod and give her a warm smile. A million horrible thoughts about Trent drift through my mind as I put the phone to my ear and cautiously say, "Hello? Dahlia, please come over. I need your help. I just can't do it." "It's okay, Serena. Calm down. What can't you do?" "Pick out her clothes," she cries into the phone. "Her clothes?" I swallow. "I have to bring them to the funeral home by 6. Could you come over and help me pick something out?" Sadly, I know exactly what she's talking about. "Let me just change and I'll be there as soon as I can." My stomach nodding, I look at Ari. I have to go. Serena needs help with some of the arrangements. Before I even get to the door, River opens it. His arms circle me and hold me tight. He kisses my head and whispers, "What's going on?" I am not sure how he's going to take this, but at the same time I have to go and he can't come with me. Even before I can tell him anything, Ari says, "I'll drive you to Grace's." I nod okay. River and Ari say hello to each other and she steps inside. "Do you want me to take you?" River asks me, reaching his hands to cradle my face. My determination falters as I contemplate letting him drive me, but I know I can't because if Ben is there, they'll just go at it again, and I can't do that to Serena. "I think I should go alone. Please understand." His body stiffens but relaxes when I lean into his touch and slide my mouth to kiss his hand. He then presses his forehead against mine, silently acknowledging his acceptance. As we enter the house, the rest of the guys are just walking inside. Belle is in the kitchen taking the trays out of the oven, and Nix and Garrett start shoving each other to get the first plate. Xander is helping to set the rest of the food out as Ari instructs him how to do it. He snaps at her, and she doesn't hesitate to give it right back to him. Everything looks back to normal. I grab River's hand. "Come with me. I'm going to change my clothes before I go." Then pulling him down the hall with me, I ask, "Will you be okay here?" A small chuckle escapes him. "Yeah, I'll be fine, Dahlia. I'm a big boy." He flops himself on the bed, kicks his feet up, and leans back against the headboard. "That's not what I mean. How did your conversation with Xander go?" He smiles and pulls me onto the bed with him. "It went much better than the last time. We didn't yell or argue. It started out rough, but Xander surprised me. It was like it somehow clicked, like he finally understood that life wasn't for me." Staring into his tranquil green eyes, I'm relieved that he and his brother are talking again. "What about the other guys?" His smile grows even wider. "We talked, and they aren't happy that I won't be with them, but they've accepted my decision. They told me our friendship is more important than anything else." I close my eyes in gratitude for a second. So happy his brother finally understood, and he had his friends back. Ellie agreed to Jack's suggestion for a potential new lead singer. They're going to meet tomorrow. I sit up and glare at him. Rolling my eyes, I mutter, "Yeah, I bet she did." Reaching for my hands, he sits up too and pulls me onto his lap. Cradling his face in my hands, I examine his expression before kissing him hard, making sure to suck on his bottom lip before stopping. Shrugging, I joke, "Sorry, I just needed to get her name off your lips." Shaking his head, he grabs my t-shirt and pulls me back to him. Our mouths meet with such intensity that I almost forget for a moment about everything that has happened. He pulls back and both of us are breathless. He takes my face between his palms, his eyes beaming with the same emotion I feel when I'm with him. Pure happiness, and I know what we have will never be torn apart. The light at the intersection turns green and cars drive past us as horns behind us relentlessly honk. Ari sits in the driver's seat, gripping the steering wheel in utter shock. "That effing son of a bitch!" As she's never one to really swear, I'm used to hearing her curse in abbreviations. I wasn't going to say anything to her, but one thing led to the next when I thanked her for driving me since my car was still in Santa Barbara.
"That effing son of a bitch. Wait until I see him,"
she repeats as she swings the steering wheel to head down the street leading to Grace's house. Silence fills the air, and I can see the gears turning in her head. "Ari, not now. Not today, please," I tell her as she parks the car. Looking around, I don't see Ben's car anywhere. Serena must be alone, and I know she needs me. Only me. "Do you think I can call you when I'm ready to head back?" She nods her head and draws me in for a hug. When she lets go, she says, "Make sure you call me if you need anything at all." "You know it. And thanks again for the ride." Then I'm opening the door and walking slowly toward the house. "Serena, I'm here," I call as I enter the family room. Sadness hits me as I look around the room that still feels like it's filled with her presence. Climbing the stairs, I head to Grace's room. I knock and slowly walk in. All of Grace's clothes are thrown on the bed, and Serena's pulling shoes off the rack in the closet and tossing them to the ground. "Serena," I call, but she doesn't answer. I reach her and pull her to me in a hug that I hope will offer some comfort. My heart aches for her as words pour out of my mouth. "Serena, look at me. I know how hard this is, but I'm here. Let me help you." She turns around and hugs me back while she cries, and I am so thankful that I get to be the one to comfort her, to help her through this. Together we sort through Grace's dresses, which are all spread out on the bed, and when I see it, I know it's the one. The navy sheath dress with a matching belt, the one that always made her eyes light up. Serena agrees and then frantically turns to what's left of the rack filled with shoes. She finds a match immediately. Lifting up a pair of blue pumps, she says, "I remember buying these with her at Avery's. We were in L.A. for the day at a luncheon. She had worn some strappy sandals that were killing her feet, so after the event was over, we decided to hit up Beverly Hills." She smiles at the memory and then abruptly says, "We need some underwear." "Right," I say, trying to keep up. "And what earrings should she wear? Her gold or silver ones?" I grab her arm. "Hey, Serena, slow down. It's okay. Let me get the jewelry." Inside her large wooden jewelry box, I see my engagement ring from Ben. It's still on the chain, sitting in a velvet square all by itself. I pick it up for just a moment, and as if it scorches me, I immediately put it back down. "He told me, Dahlia, and I'm so sorry." I hear Serena whisper as I pull a pair of small silver hoops from the jewelry box. I take a deep breath but say nothing because neither she nor Ben really knows the whole truth. I turn to face her and hold my hand out with a pair of earrings in it. "Here, I think that should do it." "Will you come with me to the funeral home? Ben seems to be a no-show. He was supposed to be here by noon. I've called him and left messages, but he hasn't returned any of my calls." I take another deep breath. "Of course, Serena." We head downstairs, and as I open the door to leave, Caleb pulls in the driveway. Serena yells she'll be out in a minute, and I stand on the porch as Caleb rolls down his window. "Dahlia, is Ben here?" I shake my head. "I haven't seen him. Serena and I are just headed to the funeral home to drop some things off. Serena said Ben was supposed to be here, but she hasn't heard from him." He frowns. "Thanks." Then he adds, "Dahlia, I'm so sorry about everything. I never meant for any of this to impact you." "Caleb, it's not your fault. Really, it isn't." He sighs. "I'm leaving town for a new job. I called River and told him who his new security contact is earlier today." I nod. "Caleb, good luck." He nods back and closes his window as I head to Serena's car. I call River from the car and ask him to come pick me up at the funeral home. It's getting late and I don't want Ari to have to drive to L.A. and back tonight. I also call Ari to let her know that I'm all set with the ride. We drive to the funeral home in silence. Walking in, I immediately feel uneasy. I subconsciously hold my breath, but the funeral home smell still hits me immediately. Serena has the bag of Grace's things in one hand and my hand in the other as we walk down the hall, past the viewing room first. The office is an open area at the end, and an older man comes to meet us. He introduces himself and motions for us to sit at the table. Serena seems to have switched into business mode as she discusses the details with him. I excuse myself to use the restroom, but am somehow drawn into the showroom. Caskets of all colors and sizes are on display. I walk over to the white casket with a beautiful light blue lining, and I think that color would be perfect for Grace. Running my fingers over the smooth satin, a familiar hand covers mine. "I'm really sorry, doll. I just want you to know that. Please forgive me. I need you." I look up. He's unshaven. He's wearing the same clothes he had on yesterday, and he looks like he hasn't slept. Irritation flares through me as I step back and quietly say, "Please, Ben. Not now. This isn't the time." As he steps forward, a wave of women's perfume permeates the air and fills my nose. "Doll, I know it's not, but I'm so alone." My voice falters as I try to keep my resolve. I can't be the one for him to lean on. I just can't. "Ben, I'm here to support you and Serena for Grace, but I can't forgive you right now, and I don't know if I ever will." He drops his eyes and pulls something out of his pocket. It's a small journal. His hand is shaking as he hands it to me. His voice is soft. "While I was away, I kept this for you. It was how I communicated with you when I thought I'd never see you again." I'm caught by surprise, and he must sense it because he says, "Please take it. I want you to have it. Do whatever you want with it." I take it from his hands because even after everything, I can't inflict any more pain on him. But I refuse to give him a chance to say anything else and turn around to leave. My heart skips a beat when I see River leaning against the doorway. His eyes are narrowed on Ben, but as they meet mine, they immediately soften. Even here, I can't help but admire his appeal. His lean body clothed in a black t-shirt and jeans that hang low on his hips. The strong, natural stance. He holds his hand out to me, and without giving Ben a second glance, he asks, "Ready to go, beautiful?" Smiling at him, I take River's hand, and we go to find Serena before he leads us home.
Chapter 27. All I Want. Ben's Journal. The bottle of Jack later, and here I am. My life is a mess. I don't even know how to get my life together anymore. I'm fucking pathetic. One minute Mom was concerned about Trent, and the next she was gone. There's no one to blame but me. I can't help but wonder if she'd still be here today, if I would have stayed buried. Was the stress of my return too much for her body to take? I can't believe she's gone. Now Caleb is leaving. He took a job with the FBI, so I have no one. Plus my sister is pissed as hell at me. And Doll? I've really lost her. I even tried to call Kimberly, but she shut me down. Before she hung up, she told me to call her when I wasn't drunk and could tell her where I was. She never used to be so demanding. My life is full of epic mistakes, one bad decision after the other. I don't even know which one came first anymore, or which one was worse. Chasing notoriety and paying the consequences, coming back and thinking I could pick up where I left off, or cheating on a girl who loved me unconditionally, a girl who didn't deserve it, and then watching her choose someone else over me. After Mom died, and I watched Doll turn to him for support, I needed to get out, to forget everything. So I did. I don't remember much except that I drank until the pain felt like it belonged to someone else, and then I went home with some girl. Just like it once used to, the sex helped me forget, even for a little while. I was so drunk that I passed out in her bed. Fuck. I never stayed the night with a chick that was only a fast lay. Then there was no need for the awkward morning conversation, but this time I woke up to my phone ringing. Still feeling drunk, I checked my messages. Listening to them, I instantly sobered up. My sister had left 6 messages. I was supposed to meet her and make funeral arrangements. I had no idea what the girl's name was, but I told her she had to drive me back to my car. I had to get there. My mom would want me to be strong. I couldn't disappoint her again. I had enough guilt. Just as I thought she'd be, Dahlia was there. I apologized again, but I no longer believe she will forgive me. I gave her the journal, and I hope one day she'll read it and at least know I really did love her.
Chapter 28. Tears in Heaven. As the sunlight streams through the windows and the Hollywood sign is clearly visible, I move to slip on my pearls. Clasping the strands around my neck, I look at the image in the mirror and I know who I see. I don't have to look twice. I see a woman in control of her own life, a woman whose life has been guided by strong role models. And she's found true love and knows loneliness is far behind her. I stand tall and know I will make it through today and tomorrow and every day after that. Grace was the one I wanted to be like, the one who always saw the world through rose-colored glasses and who rarely let anything get her down. She was strong and independent, fun and loving, caring and nurturing. And I was lucky enough to have had her in my life. I owe her the comfort of knowing I will be all right. No, not just all right. I will be more than all right. I have learned to face the truth, and because of it, I will never have any regrets. Today we have to say goodbye to her. Her body may be gone, but I know that her spirit will live on through me. I tuck the diary that Ben gave me in my mother's chest. Then I put my no regrets bracelet in my purse with the screwdriver, muster up my courage, and make my way down the hallway to find River. He's sitting at the breakfast bar waiting for me. The very sight of him makes me smile. Strong, resilient, soulful, loving, and all mine. Taking a shaky breath, I tuck a piece of hair behind my ear. He stands and holds his arms out to me. His lips set in a soft smile as I approach him and hug him tightly. For a minute, I rest my head against his neck, breathing him in. Whispering in my ear, he tells me I'm strong and I can do this. Then he leads me to the car and we make the long drive to Laguna Beach and to the church where I will say my goodbyes to Grace. My movements feel mechanical as we walk through the entrance. I've done this so many times I think I know how many steps it takes to get to the vestibule. River's grip on my hand tightens. The church is filled with all kinds of flowers and so many people. As we make our way to the front, I can see Ben and Serena are already there, sitting in the first pew. We sit in the row behind them. I lean forward and place my hand on Serena's shoulder. She turns, wiping her tears with a white hanky that used to be Grace's. Xander, Nix, Garrett, Belle, and Charlotte soon follow and sit next to River. Ari makes her way in and sits on the other side of me. I'm overwhelmed that despite all our issues, we've gotten through them, and everyone I love is here. Caleb is the last to enter the church, and he takes a seat beside Ben. He glances at us and nods hello. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Those familiar words start the service, and Grace begins the first part of her journey toward her final resting place. Ben turns to look at me, and although the pain he has inflicted on me is still raw, I can't help but feel conflicted. Torn between the compassion I feel for the son who lost his mother, the sympathy I feel for the teen who comforted me when my parents died, and the contempt I feel for the man who betrayed me. Despite his flaws, Ben was always there for me. I can feel my gaze softening as I look at him, and there's a growing feeling of closure. As he turns back, I know he must feel lost without Grace, and I wish I could be the one to help him, but I can't. Ben will have to find his own way. He's on the road he paved, the one I followed for so long, but it's not my road any longer. My heart aches for the family we once were. Grace, Serena, Ben, Trent, and me. Grace is gone. Trent's not here. And Ben. There's just nothing else to say. Friends, as we gather here, the service continues and I focus on the words. I've heard them before, but the beauty of them moves me, and I think about the woman I knew and loved. When the music starts, we all stand. When it stops, we all sit. I know it's coming, so I just close my eyes. When the priest begins reciting the final commendation and farewell, my eyes snap open. It's too soon. I'm not ready. I squeeze River's hand so tightly my knuckles turn white. He lifts my hand to his mouth and kisses it. Then he places his other hand on top of mine. The music starts to play and we all stand again. Now it's time for each of us to make our way to the front to say our own private goodbye. My hands clench and unclench and I take a deep breath. Approaching the angelic white casket, I see her there in her navy dress, but her eyes aren't sparkling. The normal glow of her skin is gone and replaced by white chalky powder. Her lips are pressed together, and I notice right away she has lipstick on. She never wore lipstick. I want to wipe it off her. My tears fall to the satin interior, leaving their mark. I want to kiss her, to hold my hand over hers, but I can't. I've never been able to touch someone lying there like that. They seem so close, and you just want them to open their eyes and give you a reassuring smile. But you know they aren't able to. Voices murmur behind me as I open my purse and place my no regrets bracelet on top of her folded hand so it sits right next to her diamond ring. I tuck the screwdriver inside the satin lining of the casket and then whisper, "Grace, I'm giving you this to hold forever. Please know I will always say what needs to be said and will live my life with no regrets." I turn, but twist to look back one last time. Her ring shines so bright it catches my eye. It's the same ring she wore on her finger for so many years, even though her husband had died so long ago, and I think, that's the kind of love I have now. Making my way back to the pew, I wait for everyone else to say his or her goodbyes. I squeeze River's hand and look over to him. He catches my gaze and looks at me with so much love. I know with him by my side I can make it through anything. The music starts and we move to exit the pew. With one last glance, I look up to the same altar I have looked on so many times before. But this time, as the stained glass window reflects on the statue at the altar, I don't have to wish for it to bring me peace, because I am at peace.
Chapter 29. Run. River. 3 weeks later. I yell over the crowd, pumping my fist in the air. I can't help but grin at her. I just knew she could do it. I'm completely mesmerized as I watch her move around. When she motions for me to join her, I put my hands out in protest. No way am I doing that. But she's relentless, and since I can never say no to her, I quickly cave and move to join her. It's karaoke night, and the words are flashing across the screen, but it feels bigger than that. My girl is up on stage living out a small part of a childhood dream that had long been forgotten. Rihanna's Umbrella ends before I even get on stage. Thank God, because if I had to sing that song, I would never have heard the end of it from the guys. Just when I think I'm in the clear, my smart-ass brother cues up Maroon 5's song, Moves Like Jagger. Of course he'd pick that song. Asshole. I jump on stage and Garrett hands me a mic. I have to say, I don't mind sharing the spotlight with her. In fact, I kind of like it. I decide I'm going to seize the moment and play it up. I've seen the music video, and I can move like Jagger. The music starts and I jump into it, pointing to Dahlia. I stop mid-sway and harden on the spot when her part cues up and she curls her finger toward me, shoots a wink, then runs her hand down the side of her body. Fuck, that was hot. Upping my game to match hers, I pull my t-shirt off. Tossing it at her, I run my hands down the front of my jeans. She likes the lead singer of Maroon 5. I know she does. So if I have to sing his song, I might as well really get into the role. When the song ends, everyone starts clapping. We continue to sing the chorus without the music, and the applause escalates. When I hear catcalls from the audience, I grab her and pull a Marlon Brando. I kiss her hard in front of everyone, just in case some guy gets the wrong idea. When she pulls away, she wipes her hand across her mouth and makes a disgusted face, whispering in my ear, "Adam, I have a fiancé, and he won't be very happy with you." I know she's anything but disgusted, and in fact, I'm hoping she'll let me take her to the pool room again. But then I noticed it's reopened. Shit. After we bow and she tosses me my shirt, she kisses me again. When she slips her tongue in my mouth, I wonder how much she's had to drink, because the bathroom is looking really good right now. As we start to walk away, people are laughing, and she stopped to take another bow. The crowd likes her. No, they love her. God, do I know how that feels. I hop off stage first and extend my arms. As she leaps into them, she lands squarely in front of me. She did that on purpose. Of course, I want to take her home immediately, but tonight is the first night we've all gone out together since I quit the band. Even Zane Perry, the new lead singer of the Wild Ones, is here. My stepfather actually suggested him for the job. I'm not sure about the name, but since his father makes musical history with every album he puts out, I can't imagine any better choice. I've met him a few times, and he's pretty cool. Seems to fit right in. He wants to ask me some questions, so we have to hang around for a little bit longer. The band is up after the karaoke opener is over. I haven't heard the band all play together, and you'd think it would be strange for me to watch the Wild Ones jam without me, but I know it won't be. I am loving my life right now. I'm where I'm supposed to be. I'm working on cutting a few singles of my own, and will slowly work toward an album. But more importantly, Dahlia and I have decided to start our own production company. We've named it Amazing Grace, and we are going to cater to small independent bands. Xander told me everyone is happy with the way rehearsals are going with the new lead, so it looks like there will only be a slight delay before they hit the road. He also told me Zane's been hooking up with Ellie pretty regularly. Dahlia will be happy to hear that. Not that she ever had anything to worry about. I was never interested in that chick or any other chick. I haven't even looked at another girl that way since the day I found her again. Dahlia puts her hands into my back pockets and pulls me closer to her. Slipping my arms around her waist, I inhale her scent and whisper in her ear, "You're killing me. You know that, right?" I can feel her smile. When she starts nipping at the skin behind my ear, I really think I might lose it. We've been here almost 3 hours, and the whole time she's been torturing me like this. I somehow stupidly agreed to a game of who can hold out the longest on the way over here. We were discussing the last time we partied at Smitten's and our pool room experience, which led to this so-called game. Then she offered a wager. If I could go the whole night without trying to get her alone, she'd concede that she was the one who had instigated the hot pool table sex. Then she added 2 more rules. I wasn't even allowed to say sex, or I want you. I'll take that bet and throw in coffee runs for the whole week if I lose, I replied. She laughed. I highly doubt I'll lose. Game on, I told her. But now my cockiness is starting to wane, and I'm not sure I'm going to make it much longer. I keep thinking about the bathroom. Maybe she's drunk enough that she won't remember the bet? The thought of taking her someplace private is driving me insane. I pull back and grab her hand. Come with me, beautiful girl. She smiles wickedly, and I lead her to the back of the bar. We're only halfway there when my sister taps me on the shoulder. Hey, there you are. Hi, Belle. What's up? Dahlia rests her chin on my shoulder and wraps her arms around my waist. Hi, Belle. Belle's eyes shift to Dahlia. Dahlia, I need some advice. Can we talk? Sure. I'll see what I can do. Dahlia steps around me to stand next to my sister. Belle motions her head over to one of the couches. In private. I shoot her an amused look. Is that a hint? Should I get lost? Dahlia tries not to laugh, but giggles anyway. Why don't you grab us some drinks? Belle starts over to the seating area. Dahlia rubs her nose on mine, moves to kiss me, but bites down on my lower lip instead, and then whispers in my ear, I think I just won. Her beautiful eyes are boring into mine, and there's a huge grin on her face. I hate to disappoint her, but I have to disagree. That would be a giant negative. I haven't said anything I'm not supposed to, and as far as I can see, we're still dressed. I whisper to her. Okay, lover boy, you want to play it that way? I know where you were headed, and so do you, but since you didn't actually say anything, I'll let it slide. How about you grab a few rounds of shots? She says, and then turns around to follow Belle. I have to laugh because I know she thinks if I have another drink, I won't be able to control myself and she'll win. Funny, since I'm not drinking tonight and she hasn't even noticed. I have to stay on my game. Plus, I want to drive home and not cab it. And last and most importantly, I want to make sure she has a blast. Tomorrow's the anniversary of her parents' death. so I've made it my mission to make tonight as bright as it can be for her. I'm heading to the bar when I hear the band doing a sound check. Okay, so maybe it will be a little weird to hear them. When I stop to watch them on stage, I see that Garrett is already sitting behind the drums, sticks in hand. Nix is in the corner throwing the finger at someone. I missed who it was, but I can only guess it was Xander, since Nix is now walking on stage with his bass guitar and not his Fender Stratocaster. I know I'm right when Zane hits the stage holding his 12-string in the air. Fuck. Nix is going to be hating life if he plays that at every gig. I look around the bar as the audience migrates toward the stage. When Zane slings his guitar over his shoulder and picks up the microphone, some of the girls start screaming. "Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you," he says, and the girls go crazy. He walks to the edge of the stage and grabs some of the girls' hands. I grin because he seems to really be enjoying the attention. I'm not sure if all of you know this yet, but I am the lucky, or maybe it's unlucky, son of a bitch who took the spot for the irreplaceable River Wild. I'm a little shocked that he mentions me. Hey, you okay? I feel Dahlia's arms go around my waist, and she rests her chin on my shoulder in a familiar stance that makes me smile. I nod to her as the crowd cheers, and Zane moves back from the edge of the stage. We're going to start with a few covers tonight, if that's okay with you, he asks the audience. They yell, and he smiles. He flicks his wrist behind him, and Nick starts to play. I know the song immediately and understand why he chose the 12-string. So I picked this song because I think this is how I am going to be feeling by the time the upcoming tour is over. Bon Jovi's Wanted Dead or Alive blasts through the speakers as the band starts to play together. I'm actually impressed with his performance. Everyone sings along, including my girl, and as the song ends, the crowd rushes the stage, waving their hands in the air. He's a hit. I look around for Xander but don't see him. Dahlia hugs me tighter. Zane raises his hand over his eyes and scans the audience as Garrett and Nick start playing another song I know well. His eyes land on me and he points his finger. There he is. Hey man, this is for you. And we want you up here now. Xander appears out of nowhere and Dahlia releases me from her embrace. I put my hands out in a no thank you motion, but Dahlia whispers in my ear, One last time, baby. Do it one last time for them. And for me. Shit. I turn to look at her, and her face is so bright there is no way I can say no. She gives me a quick kiss, and Xander shoves me forward. Enough, lover boy. Then winking at Dahlia, he says, Good one, Muse. You knew about this? She shrugs her shoulders and then puts her hand over her heart and blows me a kiss. God, I love her. People clap me on the shoulder as I approach the stage. I hop up and Belle hands me my guitar, my simple acoustic. Stella, the guitar named after my dad's favorite singer's daughter. The guitar my dad gave me. I give her a look and she shrugs her shoulders. I may have swiped it this morning when I stopped by. I smile at her. Thanks, Belle. Zane approaches me, taking his guitar off his shoulder, and hands me the mic. He goes over to stand behind the keyboard. Nick starts warming up, and just like that, I'm on. Hey, everyone. Let's do this one last time, I say as I clip the microphone back on the stand and start playing the first 8 bars in D. I scan the crowd looking for my girl, and grin when I spot her. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, I say into the mic as I start to sing Come Together. Zane joins in before the end of the first verse, and during the refrain I watch Dahlia approach the front of the stage. My eyes move over her body, and meet hers at the same time hers meet mine. Her smile is so wide that even if I screw up John Lennon's masterpiece, being up here for her is all that matters. She runs her fingers through her hair as I sing the second verse. Every time I sing, shoot, I wish I was hugging her. She starts singing along, and I can see her singing me. When I start the guitar solo, she closes her eyes as if absorbing every single note, and I do the same. I open my eyes and she's staring at me. I can feel her love. As I sing the next verse, she runs her tongue over her bottom lip, and I have to bite mine to keep it together. The second half of the song begins, and I look over to the side of the stage at Xander. He gives me a nod and smiles, signaling that he accepts my decision to quit the band. I turn around to catch Garrett's eye and then do the same to Nick's. They both smile at me, and I know we are all cool. I grab the mic off the stand and walk it over to Zane. You're on, man. I jam out the rest of the song on my guitar as the crowd cheers us on. When we finish, I sling it around my back, knowing this is the last time I'll be singing with these guys. We've spent our lives practicing and rehearsing together as we moved from garage to this stage, and I know that the bond we formed will always remain, whether I am part of the band or not. They all gather around me, and before I know it, we are huddled together. Even Xander is up here. The moment we break apart, Zane has a tray of shots in his hands. I'll let myself have one drink. Garrett makes a toast, and we all drink to get the lumps out of our throats. Belle and Ina, Xander's new assistant, join in as well. Ina is doing well, and Xander doesn't seem quite so grumpy. I hop off the stage, and Dahlia runs over to me and wraps her arms around my neck so I can lift her off the ground and swing her in a circle. When I put her back down, she crashes her lips to mine and threads her fingers through my hair. I want to run my hands down every inch of her body, but she pulls away too fast and places her hands on my cheeks. Her eyes flicker over my face as she examines me, like she's looking for something. Dahlia, I'm good. Really, I am. I assure her, because I know she's concerned I may be regretting my decision. Once she's satisfied that I'm fine, she leans in and whispers in my ear, River Wild, take me home now. I want you. I know I must be wearing the biggest shit-eating grin. Dahlia London, I would love to take you home. I want you to. And I try. I really try not to gloat, but I can't resist. I lean back in and trace the seam of her lips with my tongue before kissing her ear. Looks like I won, and you're on coffee duty for the week. I laugh. Then she laughs and says, And don't think I didn't notice you were drinking water all night to stay on your game. I just shake my head. She knows me so well. Holding hands, we say goodnight to everyone. I sling my arm around Dahlia, and she tucks her thumb in my back pocket. As we walk out the door together, I am more than 100% certain that I made the right decision. We approach my car, and she says, Mr. Lennon, my fiancé won't like me going home with you. I lean over and whisper to her in my best British accent, I bet I could kick his ass. She laughs so hard she's hiccuping by the time we get in the car. On the ride home, we sing along to Beatles songs, neither of us faltering on the lyrics because we are both avid fans. By the time we get home, I'm pretty proud of myself. I managed to stay in control and wait to have her in our bed. I actually have a surprise for her first, though. When I send her to our room and tell her I'll be right behind her, she looks at me like I have 3 heads. What? I ask. She narrows her eyes at me, then heads down the hallway, throwing over her shoulder, River, I know you're up to something. I just shake my head. She knows me. I am up to something, but nothing big. Tomorrow's going to be a tough day for her, so I want to shower her with my love and just be with her, letting her know she's everything to me. We went through a rough spot. For a long time, I was never sure if I would have been her first choice, and doubt shadowed me. When Ben came back, that doubt no longer shadowed me. It loomed large, almost haunted me. My guilt over the things I knew, what I couldn't tell her, what I should have told her the first time I figured it out, sent me over the edge. Every time she saw him, it tore me to shreds. I wanted her to choose me, but not because of what he did. When I got home that morning after I had stormed out and read her note, I knew she'd always been mine. The last few weeks were just as tough, but for a different reason. She lost someone again, and her pain rips through me. I want to make it go away, make everything right for her. But I know all I can do is be here. So I am. I've kept her busy, mostly delving into our new business. We've got the wheels in motion, and I'm hoping before the end of the year to bring on our first client. Of course, my stepfather's knowledge of the business has helped tremendously. Dahlia and I have spent a lot of time over there seeking advice and developing our strategies. It's amazing how well Dahlia and my mom get along, and although I know she's not looking for someone to take Grace's place, I think she finds comfort in their friendship, and honestly, so do I. She seems to need a mother figure in her life, and I get it. I've had Xander to help me with what was missing from my life when my father died. My mom had her sister to take care of her when their parents died, but Dahlia only had him. Ben. I can say his name now. I no longer view Ben as anything more than someone from Dahlia's past, and I can live with that. Thinking about the two women who mean everything to me, I can't help but notice how very much alike they actually are. It's not just the tragedies they have endured, but the unconditional love they both give to those around them. Smiling, I open the refrigerator and grab a bottle of champagne and a huge bowl of strawberries I snuck in there earlier. Then I take 2 glasses out of the cupboard and manage to bring it all to our room. I can hear music playing as I approach the door. It's partially closed, and when I open it, my jaw drops as I step inside. She's wearing a lacy white number slid up the front, and she looks like an angel. God, you look incredible, I tell her, biting my lip to stop from smiling the biggest grin ever. She's the sexiest thing I've ever seen in or out of clothes, and what she's wearing now makes me want to skip everything I have planned. She cocks her head to the side, and she breaks into a grin that takes my breath away. Come here so I can love you. Grinning back at her, she doesn't have to ask me twice. I set my stuff down in the dresser and stride over to her. Embracing her, I run my hands down her silhouette and tell her, You're the most beautiful creature I have ever seen. She looks at me. Creature? I shake my head. That doesn't sound beautiful, she mumbles. It is, I whisper against her lips. I can't even explain to her what I see when I look at her. I must look at her 100 times a day, and each time I find something else, something more beautiful than the last time I looked. It's not just her physical beauty that captivates me. Honestly, I don't care if she's wearing a ball gown or sweatpants. Her beauty is all of her. It's who she is. And I want to spend the rest of my life looking at her, pulling her to me, loving her. I will spend the rest of my life doing all of those things. Of that, I have no doubt. Sliding my hands around the small piece of fabric she's wearing, I nip at her lip. She smiles and tries to catch my mouth with hers, but with each passing minute my body throbs with anticipation. She lifts the hem of my t-shirt, pulling it over my head, and I don't waste a second before pressing my bare skin to her. I can never get enough of her. I want her in every way. I don't even know if she realizes how much I want her. No, not want. How much I need her. My hands skim the lace on her backside, and I press her closer to me. We're both breathing pretty heavily by the time she steps back and bats her eyelashes. Maybe you could offer a girl a drink before trying to seduce her. Joining in the fun, I say, Why, of course. Where are my manners? Turning toward the dresser, I glance back and take a moment to appreciate the way her eyes watch me. The smile that lights up her face when she sees I'm watching her. I have to bite down on my bottom lip hard to remind myself I have a plan. When I pull the cork, champagne fizzes everywhere. It's like I shook the bottle or something. Shrugging, I let it drip down my bare chest. I look over at Dahlia, and her hand is over her mouth like she's trying to stifle her laughter, which makes me laugh. As I pour the first glass, she looks at me with fire in her eyes, and my insides blaze. When I pour the second glass, she bites her lip in a way that turns me on even more. My eyes are fixed on her, and before I know it, the champagne overflows and spills out of the top of the glass. I told you bartending isn't my thing. We both laugh, and I wipe up what I can with the t-shirt from the floor. Then after I've dropped a strawberry in each drink, she circles her lips with her tongue, and I really think I might explode. I wedge another strawberry on the rim of each glass because I know she likes to. Her grin widens as I do so, and then she says, Adam, or John, whatever your name is, it's not for your bartending skills that I brought you back to my place. With both glasses in hand, I head back her way. I thought I'd be cool with role-playing, but I have to say I'm not. The only name I want screamed from my girl's lips is mine. Getting as close as I can without spilling our drinks, I wedge my knee in between her legs and hand her a glass. She gasps at the contact, and all I know is that we have way too many layers of clothing between us. I stroke my thumb along her cheek before softly kissing her there. Have I told you today how much I love you? She murmurs, You have, but don't ever stop. I want to hear it again and again. We're standing so close that the sound of my pounding heart can only be matched by her quickening breath. She stares at me, her hazel eyes now the darkest brown, with a look that makes me crazy with desire. Taking the strawberry off the rim of my glass, she dips it in the champagne. When she offers it to me, I take a bite, then watch as she does the same. Her tongue licks the berry and then her teeth bite down in a way I think I've felt before. She walks over to set our glasses down on the night table, and when she turns around I can't help but stare. My pulse speeds up with every step she takes toward me. She strides from her hips. It's the sexiest walk I've ever seen. When she chews on her lower lip, I want to be the one chewing on it. When she's close enough, I try to scoop her up, but she pushes me down on the bed. She doesn't say a word as she hurriedly pulls off my boots and removes my jeans. I sit up and reach for her, but she pushes me back down in the bed. I love when she thinks she's in control. She takes a sip of champagne, and when she kisses me, I can taste the champagne from her lips. Before I know what's happening, her cold tongue traces the lines of my lower abs. I look down as her lips brush across my stomach and suck in a breath. When she peeks up at me through her long lashes, my muscles clench. Another kiss on my stomach, and I can feel her smile against my skin. Her hands run over me, and I know she's aware of how much I want her. I think she likes making me wait until I'm overcome with need for her. Love, she says, and she drags her tongue up my chest until I feel like I might explode. You, she whispers, nipping at my jaw. More, she teases, before finally touching her lips to mine, sending a shiver through my core. More. We say that to each other all the time, but it's not about who loves the other more. It's simply that we love each other more than words can possibly express, and nothing or no one can ever change that. Her kiss tastes like strawberries, but most of all she tastes like Dahlia, and I know I will never get enough of her. She rises up, then I take hold of her. Looking at her, I know what we have will last a lifetime. She's everything I have ever wanted, and more. To think I almost lost her still scares the shit out of me. We've both learned a lot over the past month about our relationship and ourselves. I've learned that protecting someone I love by withholding information isn't really protecting them at all. I made her doubt us, made her doubt my trust. I will never do that again. This amazing girl can trust me for a lifetime. She was made for me, and right now I want nothing more than to show her exactly how I feel, to connect our bodies and our souls. With that thought in mind, I roll us over and rest my forehead against hers. My breathing is so ragged that I have to take a deep breath. Letting it out, I dip my head and graze my lips across her chest. With every soft touch and every warm breath that passes between us, I feel our connection more strongly. Kissing her neck, I work my way up to her mouth. She parts her lips slowly and eagerly accepts my tongue's invitation. I'm working on control, on taking it slow, and tonight of all nights I really want to succeed. But I already know that's going to be challenging, if not impossible. Her hands take fistfuls of my hair. She's tugging on it as if she needs something to hold on to, like she's also looking for a way to pull us closer and make us one. Stroking my fingers along her silky lace panties, I stop and apply pressure in the spots I know she likes. When she moans, I know she's as eager as I am to make love. She wants it bad. I swear I hear her whimper when I stop to lean over the night table and grab a strawberry, then dip it in a glass of champagne. Twisting back to face her, I notice how intently she's watching me. Her breathing is much heavier, and she's got a huge smile on her face. I slide the tip of the strawberry from the edge of her panties up between her perfect breasts, all the way to her mouth. Placing it in between her teeth, I bite down on it, and she does the same. I kiss her, licking the excess juice from her lips before tracing my tongue down the champagne trail I left behind. Unhooking the front of her lingerie, I peel it off her. Her nipples are so hard and tempting, and I can't resist quickly circling my mouth over one, licking away the champagne that has dripped there. Her chest rises and falls rapidly, and I can tell she wants more. Not wanting to break my momentum, I continue my journey down to what I know she wants. At her belly button, I stop for only a quick second to dip my tongue in and swirl it around. Her body hums with my every touch. Her eyes remain closed and her lips slightly parted. She's fisting her hands in my hair again, and when I slide my tongue into the waistband of her panties, her body writhes beneath me. With gentle teasing fingers, I pull the lace down until my tongue reaches her soft flesh. Looking up, she's chewing on her lip again. Her eyes are open and she's watching me. I can see the love and want on her face. Suddenly, I am overcome with the need to have every inch of her all at once. I really want to keep taking it slow and stay in control, but it's just so damn hard when she looks at me like that. With a huge grin, I stand up and take my boxers off, and then pull her to the center of the bed. Kneeling before her, I rip her panties off and throw them to the ground. Slow can only last so long. When I press my palms into her soft curves and run them down her naked body, my desire is nearly uncontrollable. I trail kisses along her inner thigh until I reach her slick core. I teasingly blow on her center and watch a shiver run through her body. Spreading her thighs wider, I cover her sex with my mouth and dart my tongue inside her. She tastes like pure heaven. Strawberries and champagne have nothing on this girl. She's amazing. I lick and suck, letting her body react and guide my rhythm. She's panting as she tangles her hands in my hair. Her breathing quickens, and watching her body respond to my every touch, taste, and movement intoxicates me. There's nothing that makes me feel the way she does. "Please don't stop," she begs. "I'm not stopping. I'm going to leave you breathless, unable to think of anything but me," I growl. Completely turned on by the signs of her impending climax, I grab her thighs and pull her closer to me. I slide my tongue one last time through her slick opening up to her clit. She's moaning and arching her back. When her hands move to tightly grip the bed sheets and her legs start trembling, I cover it with my mouth and suck greedily, then watch as she falls apart, breathing in short bursts, eyes closing, head tilting back, and mouth opening slightly. And finally her thighs turn to steel as her body clenches and waves of pleasure overtake her. She comes hard, screaming my name over and over, and I love every minute of it. Seeing her come takes away any self-control I had left. I'd say I did pretty well. But now I need to be inside her, to feel her warmth, her tightness gripping around me. Once her body calms, I crawl on top of her and look down at her flushed but still perfect face. She smiles up at me with hooded eyes. "That was amazing," she whispers, still trying to catch her breath. "But now I want you deep inside me. I want us to come together." "Oh, I think that can be arranged, beautiful girl." If only she knew how badly I want to grant her that request. I am rock hard, and I'm not going to last much longer. Reaching down, I slip a finger inside her. She's soaked, and when she lets out a small moan, I know she's more than ready for me. I playfully twirl my finger around before I pull it out and easily slide into her, plunging as deep as I can. I groan at the sensation. "You feel so good," I whisper in her ear, and then I bury myself deep inside her, the magnitude of my pleasure increasing with even the slightest of movements. She wraps her arms around me, and I kiss her. Now I can taste her, and I know she can taste herself. A combination that does more than just turn me on. We move together as one, the intensity building with every thrust. It's a feeling I wish would last forever. In fact, I wish I could stay buried inside of her. There is no place in the world I'd rather be. Breaking our kiss, I hungrily nip at her jaw and press my mouth down her neck. Thrusting in and out, I give her everything I can, and she willingly takes it. I'm trying to hold on, not wanting this feeling to end. But when her head falls back and she arches her body, I tell her, "Come with me." Her muscles clench and her inner walls tighten around me as she whispers breathlessly, "I'm right here with you." And that is all I need to hear. Burying my face in her neck, I thrust a few more times, and just as I still and start to explode, her body shudders with an intense orgasm that can only be matched by my own. "I love you, Dahlia. I manage as we come together, sharing the most intimate connection two people can ever know. We're truly one right now. One body, one soul. She's not only mine, she's mine forever. Chapter 30. I Belong to You. River, October 31st. The white light creeps in through the window. We left the curtains open last night so we could stare out into the night, admiring the view, and feeling absolutely content knowing we will always be there for each other. I know today is the hardest day of the year for her, and I want to do everything I can to guarantee she has a smile on her face. I've been watching her sleep, waiting for her to wake up. I'm lying on my back, and she's draped across my chest with her cheek pressed against me, and her golden strands pulled back just enough so I can see her beautiful face. With her next to me naked in bed, I can't stop myself from sliding my hands over her smooth skin. She opens her eyes only the tiniest fraction and kisses my chest. She skims her fingertips down my stomach, stopping to trace lines over each muscle, stoking the heat between us that never dies. Good morning, I tell her, kissing her head and smelling the sweet scent of her hair. Morning. She nips my skin and sends me over the edge. Rolling her over, I hover above her and bury my elbows into the pillow. My mouth trails down her neck and she giggles. You're tickling me. Giggling and tickling aren't what I'm going for, I murmur back as I continue to lick and nip her skin. She pulls my head to hers, and when our lips meet, I want to devour her. But when I brush my tongue against hers, she laughs. Ignoring the sound, I suck on her bottom lip because I know how much she likes it. When I do, she smirks and stifles any noise that would accompany it. I plop down beside her and rest my head on my elbow. Lifting her chin to look into her eyes, I ask, What are you doing? She flutters her eyes. Why, whatever do you mean? She answers in her cute, fake southern accent. Grinning, I say, I'm trying to make love to you, but you seem to be finding it funny. She pouts her lips and drops her eyes. What's wrong, baby? I ask, grabbing her hand and lacing my fingers in hers. Not sure what I did. She smiles, and I swear I feel my heart stop from her beauty. Nothing's wrong. I'm just waiting to see how long it takes you. Well, if you'd let me get started, you'd be able to see. Then raising an eyebrow, I ask, Wait, what exactly are you waiting to see how long it takes for? Now she's laughing hysterically, and I start to question my manhood. When she settles down, she gives me an impish grin. To say happy anniversary, silly. Not what you're thinking. A bright smile spreads across my face. I guess it's an anniversary of sorts. 6 years ago today, you stared at me across a bar, and look where I am now, I say, trailing my fingers down her bare arm. She tells me, well, I think it went more like this. 6 years ago today, you stalked me, and look where I am now, in the arms of Jack the Ripper. Grinning, I remember the first night we met at the USC campus bar, and the conversation we had. Then I decide if I'm ever going to concede, this is the time. Okay, I'll give you that one. She keeps my hands laced in hers and moves closer to me. She kisses me and then says, I love you. I thought I loved you from the first moment I saw you in the bar, and I knew I loved you 5 years later when I saw you in that conference room. But it wasn't until you said that you weren't just kissing me, you were whispering in my mouth, that I fell madly in love with you. Did I say that? I'm pretty smooth. She nods and smirks. Fixing her gaze on me, she seems very serious all of a sudden. She holds my eyes captive. Clearing her throat, she says, You know today has always been the saddest day of the year for me, and I was wondering if you would do something to help me change that? There's a lead in that I would normally pounce on, but I know she's being serious, so of course I don't. Instead, I kiss her hands. You know I'd do anything for you, Dahlia. You don't even have to ask, just tell me and it's done. She looks at me for the longest time before speaking. Will you marry me today? Make this my happiest day of the year instead of my saddest day of the year? Like she really has to ask. I can't even answer her right away because I'm so full of emotion I have to compose myself before saying, "Dahlia, I would have married you at the campus bar that night if you would have asked. You're the only one I have ever really loved. The only one I will ever love. You, beautiful girl, are every breath I take, so of course I'll marry you today." In all honesty, there is nothing more I want to do. I'm not the kind of guy to cry, but I swear I feel tears in my eyes when I look at the glow on her face. All I wanted to do was make her happy today, and all she needs to be happy is for me to marry her? Of course I can do that. She closes her eyes for a moment, and when she reopens them, she says, "So Vegas it is." My heart thuds in my chest as I fall on my back and pull her on top of me. No, I'm done with Vegas. We're getting married nearby, and I'm taking care of it all. With her palms flat on my chest, she lifts herself up. She's biting her lip and has a contemplative look on her face. What? She raises an eyebrow and a small giggle of disbelief escapes her mouth. You're going to take care of everything? I prop myself up on my elbows and meet her gaze. That's what I said. Okay, then. She grins at me, and it's decided. Today is finally the day, and it's mine to plan. Rolling on top of her so our bodies are perfectly aligned, I lean down to taste her skin. When she rocks her hips into mine, I let out a low groan. She feels so good, and my urge to be inside her becomes a frenzied need. I lock my lips around her earlobe and whisper, "You can see how long it takes me now if you want." She combs her hands in my hair and tugs at my scalp in that way that drives me crazy. When she runs her nose up my neck so I can feel her warm breath against my skin, her lips find mine, and she murmurs, "Yes, I want." It's a little while later, and I head downstairs to plan the day. Our wedding day. I promise myself that this time we will be married by the end of the day. The wedding may not be traditional in every sense of the word, but I want to make sure we hit the most important parts. The ceremony, and of course an unbelievable wedding night. With that in mind, I quickly call my sister and tell her about the wedding. She says she'll be right over, but I know if I want something done a certain way, I have to stress it over and over, so I repeat myself. Belle, remember these 2 words, sunset and simple. But I know she's not even listening as she hangs up the phone. I'm surprised when she gets here and has already secured the location. And all of her ideas are perfect, except one. As she leaves, I beg her to skip the monkey suit, but she only rolls her eyes and says, "Be at Grandpa's store at noon. Xander will meet you there." As she's leaving, she yells over her shoulder, "Don't forget to tell Dahlia to meet me at Avery's at 1. I actually haven't been to Grandpa's store since his death. About a year before he died, he had asked all 3 of us if we were interested in taking over the store, but we were young, and that responsibility seemed too daunting, so we all declined. Now someone else owns it. Feeling good about Belle's involvement, I decided to search for my girl to reassure her that it's all under control. She doesn't have to worry about a thing. When I find her ending a call with Ari, I tell her only a handful of minor wedding details. I want the location to be a surprise. When she looks at me skeptically, I feign offense, and then promptly send her off to do whatever it is a woman has to do before getting married. I also have things to do myself. First on the list, write my vows. Second, select the most perfect song to dance to. And finally, come up with a plan to make tonight unlike any other night. My monkey suit shoes are in the closet, and as I look at the laces, I know I will be switching them out for my Adidas. Belle's going to kill me, but those shiny shoes are just not for me. Dahlia's still out, and I'm making sure I have everything ready. I jump in the shower and start singing "You Make Loving Fun," because for some reason thinking about last night makes me think about that song. Everything about her amuses me, and the simple fact that we can go out and have a great time together no matter what we do just makes me appreciate her even more. As I'm shaving, I'm humming and singing along. When I look up, I see her in the mirror. She's leaning up against the doorframe with the biggest smile on her face. Seeing her carefree and happy like that makes it hard for me to see straight. Twisting around to catch an even better glimpse, she's already walking my way. I meet her in the middle because I can't wait to get my arms around her and feel her body against mine. She slings her arms over my shoulders, and I lace mine around her waist. When she runs her fingers through my wet hair, I groan and cup her backside. She rests her head in the crook of my neck, and I pull her into me as close as I can and fight back the urge to devour her. Even our bodies fit together. It's perfection. We're two people meant to be together. As she nips at the skin on my neck, my resolve to wait to have her is beginning to wane. I had decided earlier that we should not have sex again before tonight. I've booked a room at the Beverly Wilshire, and Belle is going to make sure it's filled with everything to make the night special. Flowers, champagne, my guitar, and a few other things, she said. I rolled my eyes at the "a few other things" comment, but thanked her anyway. Her soft lips touch my shoulder, and I breathe her in. She slides her fingers down my bare chest to my towel, and I squeeze her tight to me. She tugs at the knot and fastens it, letting it fall to the ground. When she purrs, "You didn't wait for me to take a shower." A raw heat starts to consume me. I lean back and try to control the fire raging through my body. That's because I knew I wouldn't be able to restrain myself if I did that. She walks me backward until I'm leaning against the counter. When she reaches down, her fingers quickly wrap around me, and it feels so good. Of course, I was already hard before she even touched me. I was hard the minute I saw her. "Why would you have to restrain yourself?" she asks while stroking me. Fighting the urge to rip her clothes off, I managed to say through gritted teeth, "Because I thought we should wait until after we're married to have sex." A deep, throaty laugh escapes her lips as her thumb lightly circles my tip, and I feel myself swell even more inside her hand. At this point, there's no going back. "Okay, that's sweet, and I like traditions, but that tradition only applies if the two people have never had sex." I grip the counter with one hand and her with the other. She continues to stroke me, and I throw my head back. "It's not tradition," I manage to say. "It's one of my rules." She laughs again. "Okay, I don't get it, but since I always love your rules, I'll be happy to follow your lead." Then she twists her palm over the head of my cock in the way she knows I like. "So I can't do this?" My voice comes out low and strained as I answer, "No, I mean, yes, you can do that." When she drops down to her knees and wraps her mouth around me, she sucks so hard I can no longer control myself. I close my eyes and just let go. Before I know it, I'm thrusting my hips, clutching her hair with my hands, deciding technically this isn't sex. For all the complaining I've done about my sister's party planning in the past, I take it all back today. She really outdid herself. She managed to secure the ideal location, compliments of pulling the "my grandfather was a major benefactor" card. She arranged limo transportation, compliments of an old boyfriend, and she even had Garrett become ordained so that he could marry us. Glancing out the window, I see dark clouds are rolling in, and I'm hoping it doesn't rain. Dahlia and I are riding together, but I want the location to be a surprise, so I have her blindfolded. Getting it on took a little bit of coercing. Of course, she had some smart-ass comments to make about not knowing how kinky I was, and then asking what I planned on doing to her once I got the blindfold on. I had all kinds of ideas of what I could do to her, but it was neither the time nor the place. Although she made fun of me for traditions, she wanted to keep one herself. She didn't want me to see her in her wedding dress until the actual ceremony. So she's wearing the dress Ari got her the day we were originally going to elope to Vegas. She'll change the location of the ceremony. And even though I know this isn't her wedding dress, I can't take my eyes off her. She looks so beautiful. But in truth, as gorgeous as she looks right now, I just know that when I see her walking down the aisle, this moment won't compare. Glancing at her, I notice something on her leg. I run my hand up between her legs, and even blindfolded, she's a fast catch. She has my hand in hers in a flash. No, you don't get to see that until after we're married." "Dahlia, I could see it now. I'm not the one with the blindfold on, remember?" "Oh, I remember. You might be able to see, but no touching." I creep my fingers back up her leg, and she slaps my hand. "No, not now. Remember your rules. I don't want to tempt you into something, so no touching, got it?" "I got it, beautiful," I say, and lean over to kiss her, beyond happy that she's mine. Her lips, her legs, her body, her humor, her everything. She's all mine. Whatever you say. Everyone else went ahead of us, but I had a stop I wanted to make first. When the limo comes to a halt, I take her hand and help her out of the car. As I guide her up and we step onto the wooden platform, I already feel the magic of this location. I completely understand why as a child she'd have asked her parents for this as a present. I was uncertain if I should bring her here or not. I didn't want to make her sad by bringing back memories of her parents, but I wanted them to be a part of our special day. I brace her hands on one of the poles and signal to the operator. When it starts to move, I remove her blindfold. I'm standing right in front of her, but her face is unreadable. "Are you okay?" I ask. She lifts her head, staring into my eyes. "I'm more than okay." And I know it's true. Her eyes dart around, taking in her surroundings, and I get to see this magical fantasy world come to life through her eyes. As the organ music begins and the merry-go-round turns, the prancing wooden horses move up and down, and even I feel like they are inviting us to join them. "May I?" I ask softly as my hands grip her waist and lift her to sit sideways on the colorful moving horse. She traces her fingertips over my cheek and then motions for me to join her. I quickly hop on behind her and reach around her to hold onto her hands on the pole. The mirror plates reflect both of our smiling faces and allow me a glimpse of the 12-year-old girl who requested this birthday present. We ride in a circle over and over, and occasionally I kiss her neck or press my cheek to hers, and every once in a while she leans back into me or rests her head on my shoulder. As the ride ends, the horses and music stop, but I know the enchantment in our life together never will. I hop off and see that her eyes are squeezed closed. When she opens them, her smile brightens. She mouths, "Thank you." Then she wraps her arms around my neck and leans into me, softly and tenderly kissing me. I want to give her a present before we go. Leaning back, I open my jacket and reach inside for the black velvet pouch. "Give me your wrist." When she does, I take out the stack of gold and silver bracelets and pull them over her hand to her wrist. She looks at me questioningly. "These were the bracelets Janis Joplin wore at Woodstock. My grandfather was her drummer, and she overheard a conversation he was having with someone that his wife was so mad at him because it was their anniversary and he wasn't home. That night Janis sent my grandfather a letter with this pouch, telling him these bracelets were made of love from all around the world, and she was sure if he gifted my grandmother with them, she'd forgive him." Dahlia looks at me intently. "Did she?" I laugh. "Of course she did." She looks at the bangles for a long while and throws her arms around me, the metal jingling. "God, I love you. Thank you so much. They're beautiful." I hold her. "No, you're beautiful. Are you ready to finally do this?" "I'm ready to finally do this," she says as she reaches in my front pocket and snatches the blindfold I stashed there. Hey yourself. It's my turn later," she says with a wink. I laugh as I take her in my arms and kiss her. Then, hand in hand, we walk back to the limo. As we pull up to the Griffith Park Observatory, I know Belle made the right choice. Dahlia clasps her hand over her mouth and turns to me to say, "It's perfect." Xander's new Porsche is parked right in front. I asked him if I could borrow it to drive off in at the end of the night. I just wanted to see if he'd let me take it, because since I learned to drive, he had a thing about me taking his car. Needless to say, I was surprised he said yes. Guess he's more of a romantic than I thought. Ari and Serena come rushing over and take my girl from me. As she turns and blows me a kiss, her pearls swing from side to side. And I can't believe we're actually doing this. It's actually going to happen. Dahlia is finally going to be my wife. Mr. and Mrs. River Wild. I like the sound of that. I feel like we've waited a long time for this day, and I want it to be absolutely perfect, just like my girl. Breaking my trance, Xander's in my face, shoving me forward. "Belle's on me because you're late, lover boy, so get your ass in gear and stop gawking like a schoolboy." I just shake my head, glad things are back to normal. Upstairs, I'm floored by what Belle has done to the place. The observation deck? which I have been on 1,000,000 times, has been transformed into the most beautiful place on earth. White twinkling lights stream from the open window arches. Wild flowers cover almost every inch of the room. The makeshift white carpet ends at the center arch with a perfect view of the Hollywood sign. And everyone we care about is here. My mom, Jack, Serena, Ari, Garrett, Nix, Xander, Belle, and even Zane. Garrett moves to stand at the end of the carpet, and I have to chuckle because he's trying to be so professional. Looking at his watch, he clears his throat and opens his book. My chuckle turns into a laugh when I see the title of the book he's holding is War and Peace. But really, I'm touched that he's put so much effort into things. Just as the sun begins to meet the horizon and the Hollywood sign lights up the sky, Zane starts to play Wagner's Here Comes the Bride on the keyboard that Belle set up on the back of the deck with the other band instruments. The wild ones will be playing tonight after the ceremony. Xander taps me on the shoulder and motions for me to stand near Garrett. As I do, everyone takes a seat. When the song stops, Dahlia comes around the corner, and Ari swiftly joins the others. Dahlia has never looked more beautiful. Her dress is long, with a scooped neck and thin straps exposing her shoulders. She looks sexy as hell in it. Her hair is loose and flowing with a small, simple braid keeping her hair out of her eyes and tucked behind her ear. My heart skips a beat as I look at her angelic face. Her expression is a mixture of love and wonder. Her eyes are more hazel than I have ever seen them, and her gleaming smile overwhelms me. That one tear that's been welling in my eye finally falls, and I know that I was able to turn her saddest day into her happiest day. As she stands there waiting for the music to cue again, her mouth drops open when Ryan Ogden starts to sing I Can't Wait. Jack is a friend of the lead singer from Runner Runner, and his song couldn't be more perfect for me to dedicate to my girl. With just his guitar in hand, he starts to sing, and she slowly walks down the aisle with the handful of wildflowers I picked for her from her flower garden this morning. A wave of sadness suddenly overcomes me. For one small moment of watching her walk alone, I wish her father were here to walk her down the aisle, and then I wish my father were here too. But I shove those thoughts aside as I move to meet her halfway. Hi, I whisper. Hi, she whispers back. My eyes drink her in. She looks absolutely beautiful in her silky long white dress. It hugs her body perfectly, showing off her amazing figure, and I can't help but think she looks like Grace Kelly. But it's the look on her face that sets my soul on fire. I manage to say, You look absolutely beautiful. Her glossy eyes look at me, and then she too trails her eyes up and down my body. You look amazing, and I love your shoes, she says with a wink. Then Garrett clears his throat, and we both laugh. As I start to tell her how much I love her, she raises her hand and touches her index finger to my lips and mouths, Shh. I kiss her finger, and then grab her hand, moving to stand beside her. With our fingers laced together, we walk the rest of the way down the aisle. The ceremony is short. Our vows are a mixture of traditional lines mixed with our own words. Dahlia is surprised when it's time for the ring exchange, and I actually have matching wedding bands. Where did you get them? She whispers, a look of utter happiness on her face. I whisper that I got them on the day we were supposed to first get married. Tears roll down her cheeks, and when I show her the inscription on the inside of hers, her hand flies to her mouth. I'll take the happy tears over the sad tears any day. I kiss them away, knowing my life was never really complete until I met her. Looking into her eyes, they tell me everything I need to know as I slide the ring on her finger and say the words that now touch her skin. I love you more. The mood quickly changes from deeply emotional to hysterically funny when Garrett asks, If anyone here knows why these two should not be wed, speak now or forever hold your peace. I can only assume he printed an old-fashioned copy of a wedding ceremony script off the internet. He looks around in question and then shakes his head, muttering something I can't make out. Then taking a deep breath, it's finally time. I look into her shining eyes as she says, I do. And I say the same. When Garrett announces us as husband and wife, she's finally mine, and I get to kiss her for the first time as my wife. I wipe her tears, and while everyone claps, I take her face in my hands. I study her, moving my fingertips gently over her soft lips, etching every detail of how beautiful she looks today into my mind. But I know I don't have to, because her beauty is permanently etched into my soul. So with the sun setting in the west, I kiss her. I pour all my love into this single most important kiss, the kiss that ties us together forever. I brush my lips against hers, smelling the scent of the wildflowers all around us, and move my hands to pull her closer to me. Her back is bare, and I find the soft spot in the middle and press my palms against it. She wraps her arms around my neck and kisses me back with the exact same intensity. When Garrett clears his throat for the third time, we break away, both breathless. I lean my forehead against hers. "We did it," I whisper. "We did it." She smiles, and I pick her up and swing her around as she giggles. God, I love that sound. We spend the next hour taking pictures around the grounds. When we return to the observation deck, other guests have arrived, and Nix and Garrett start popping champagne corks. Glasses are being filled, and once served, Xander surprises me by clinking his glass with a spoon and making a toast. Holding his glass up and looking at both of us, he says, "If any two people in the world deserve happiness, it's you two. The love you have for each other is something I can only hope I will experience a small piece of one day. To my brother, I want you to know that I admire you for always going after what you want. And although I may not always show it, I really do love you. And to my new sister-in-law, it wasn't long ago that you said to me you'd keep hoping and wishing for the day I'd say, I love you. Well, that day came a long time ago. I just didn't tell you, so I'm telling you now. Muse, thank you for making my brother so happy. I love you." We all clink our glasses, and my eyes lock on Xander's, silently thanking him. He's with a date. Her name is Amy, and he's dated her off and on for years, but I know he doesn't love her. I hope he's lucky enough to find a girl like mine someday, because he deserves this kind of love. I know he had it once. Looking around at the rest of my family, I don't see a dry eye among them. Looking sophisticated in her party dress, Belle comes over with my mom, and I motion Xander to join us. Jack follows, and as we clink our glasses again, my mom says, "To our family, may it grow and change, but never break apart." My turn, Belle insists, and she makes the next toast. "To River and Dahlia, I love you both, and thank you so much for letting me plan your dream wedding with less than a day's notice. No, but really, thank you. It did get me a full-time job with Tate Wyatt, my new boyfriend, and an assistant to boot," she says, pointing over to a girl I hadn't noticed directing some waiters where to put their trays of food. Raising our glasses, we laugh and congratulate her on her new job and her new boyfriend. The music starts to play, and the family moment is broken. But I'm so appreciative of how easily Dahlia was welcomed by all of them and so thankful to have them. I watch Xander head back over to Amy and think how funny it is that he admires me. He was the strong one, the one who took the road that was right for him from the start, not the road that our father wanted him to take. Looking around, Zane approaches Ari, and she seems to be asking him to do something with the cake because he picks it up and moves it, but she doesn't seem to be happy with its location. She's shaking her head no and pointing to a different table. Zane, looking fed up, picks it back up and sets it down where it was to begin with. Who knows what's going on? Even the cake itself makes me laugh because it has big purple flowers all over it, thanks to my sister still insisting that dahlias only come in the color purple. With the party in full swing, I can finally get Dahlia alone. I pull her aside and lead her down the stairs. Most people come to the Griffith Park Observatory to look up at the stars and planets and to gaze at the picture-perfect view of the Hollywood sign. But tonight, I only have eyes for my wife, my soulmate. When we get to the bottom of the stairs, I open the door and lead her to the large white fountain in front of the building. Looking into her eyes and then at the fountain, I reach into my pocket and pull out 2 pennies. Handing one to my wife, I grin before asking her, "Do you remember the rules?" In her cute southern accent, she says, "You know what, kind sir, I think I do, but maybe you better remind me." I'd be happy to. First, we both turn around. Then, in the count of 3, we both throw the coins over our shoulders into the fountain while making a wish. She pulls me closer to her and says, You look so adorable when you explain your rules. I just wanted to watch you explain them again. I shake my head. Again, adorable isn't what I'm going for. She pulls me to her and drags her tongue across the inside of my lower lip. Adorable turns me on. Adorable works then. I groan, and just then the sky opens up and it starts to rain. Come on, let's do this before the rain really starts to come down. Quickly, we both turn around, and holding my fingers up, I say, 1, 2, 3, and then yell, Go! And we toss our coins over our shoulders and into the fountain. I grab her hand. Let's make a run for it. But she lets my hand go and bends down to take her shoes off. Dahlia, what are you doing? You're going to get soaked. Taking my shoes off. I can see that. Why? But I already know why. God, I fucking love her. Because, silly, I want to jump in the puddles, I say, right along with her. I clearly remember the day I watched her do this very same thing, and just as I did then, I watch her with amazement and wonder. And as the raindrops turn into tiny wishing wells gathering all around her, the same overwhelming urge to grant this girl her every wish doesn't terrify me anymore. I now know the connection we share can never be broken. I know without a doubt that I will be her happily ever after. After she jumps from puddle to puddle, she closes her eyes and raises her arms out to the side. She tips her head back and spins in circles as I join her. When I hear the band cue up the song I selected for our dance, I draw her in close to me and rest my fingers on her hips. Taking her face in my hands, I kiss her hard. She wraps her arms around my neck, and I feel lost in her touch, her soul, her love. But it's not a kind of lost where you want to be found. Slowing down, I never break our kiss as I concentrate on making sure it conveys how much I truly love her. If she starts to quiver, I lean back and just stare at her. She's everything I have ever wanted, everything I need. Pulling her body close enough to mine so that our hips are cradled together, I start swaying to the music and ask, Beautiful girl, will you dance with me? She smiles at me, nodding her head. Looking at her now, I know I will always give her a reason to smile. She deserves that. As the song, Waiting for a Girl Like You, starts to play, we surround each other. We rock back and forth, and I sing the lyrics to my wife, the words that are so perfectly fitting for the way I feel about her. When the song ends, I slide my nose to her ear and whisper, A long time ago I wished for you, and now I have you. See? Wishes really do come true, even if you tell someone your wish. Standing in the pouring rain, I place my hand behind her neck and gather her close into me. When her lips meet mine, we kiss with a passion that only she has ever made me feel, and it's exhilarating and mind-blowing at the same time. Sliding my hands down her bare back, I look into her eyes, and this time I ask, What did you wish for just now? With her hands tangled in my hair, she says, Only for you, always. You're the only thing I want to wish for. From the day I met you, my life changed. The way you make me feel can't be put into words. You make me smile in a special kind of way. You brighten my world. You make me fall more in love with you every day. I love you forever. I love you more, River Wild. You turn my life into a fairy tale, and I don't need to wish for anything else as long as I have you. Her words sear me. Just knowing she feels like that makes me shiver. With my hands pressed against the bare spot on her back, I tell her, That's the one wish I guarantee is granted. I love you, Dahlia Wild. You turn my life from ordinary to extraordinary. You're perfect. Really. This concludes Torn by Kim Karr, narrated by Veronica Munch and Christian Fox. Copyright 2013 by Kim Karr.